Vivek Shah, thank you for doing this.
It's great to be here.
We should start with the disclosure.
Yeah.
I worked for you for many years, sometimes directly.
Yeah.
My quick story about Vivek, first time we met, I was coming back from Computex in Taipei. You had bought the company while I was on the trip. I came back, I was totally jet lagged. We met in my office, we start talking, and you start asking me how I can grow the site. And I say, Vivek, I have no resources. We've been cutting back for years. I'm being asked to do more with less. I just met you. And you said, you know what? What if I gave you 30% more freelance money? Could you double traffic? And I had never heard anybody say anything like that. I was like, I think maybe I did it, I don't know.
You did?
But I don't know that I could do that today.
Yeah.
In the current media environment, SEO is not gonna work, affiliate's gonna be tough. The LLMs are eating the media's lunch, literally. I guess literally is not the right way to use that word. I've got lunch on my mind.
But we're between everyone here and lunch.
Yeah, this is the environment we're in, and one of the ways you're responding to that environment is to sue. So maybe we start with the lawsuit and talk about the reasoning and sort of what drove you to it.
So just as context, we did file a suit against OpenAI, and that wasn't our first choice. So I don't think anyone goes into business, certainly not my business, thinking about lawsuits and legal fights and that sort of thing. But we were really left with no choice. We tried in earnest to negotiate a licensing agreement for our content. We didn't get anywhere. And I was surprised by this because there was a time where OpenAI would be transparent around how their models were being trained. So with ChatGPT 2, the last time they were transparent, you got a real understanding of the details of training. And at that time, at least, it was very clear that high-quality pages on the internet, high-quality domains on the internet, domains with high domain authority, had a disproportionate position within training. By our own estimates, we were 1% of the training of the model. That's not immaterial. So I would have thought that given our materiality, that there would be some productive dialogue, and we were entirely rebuffed. And so as a company that produces content, that holds copyrights, that owns intellectual property, I don't think you can just sit by. And so from our point of view, defending our IP is really important. And we're doing it not only for, obviously, our corporation's benefit, but really for the industry, because I think it's an important fight.
I mean, one of the things that we were talking about earlier is that this struggles of the media industry, since I started in the media industry, the media's dying has been a meme that's existed for 25 years under a variety of different reasons. I mean, we shut down a print magazine. But the struggles of making money in digital media are not new. And Google was almost the first problem. Can you talk a little bit about something we've always had to navigate against is showing up in search returns?
Yeah, I would make I draw a distinction between what we're seeing with most LLM operators and Google. At least with Google, there has always been a concept of a fair value exchange. You could argue it wasn't enough value, but there was an exchange. We will crawl your content, we will index your content, and in exchange, you're gonna get traffic. And that compact has existed for really since the inception of search. And famously, and rightly, Google would say, and if that's not a system you want to be part of, just tell us. Marketers do not follow. And today that is observed. And in fact, now look at that with respect to large language models. The robots.txt protocol, which is governed bot use for, 30 years, has been entirely ignored. Publishers like ourselves put up very clearly instructions to AI scrapers, hey, not here, don't scrape our stuff. And they've been routinely ignored. And so, look, I think this is different, and so I do mark, I'm not here to defend Google, but I will say that they've understood that value exchange in a way that I don't see other companies in the AI space yet recognizing, or recognizing with any consistency. There felt like there was a moment where maybe, and then it sort of went away. It was like, I'm not sure we need to do this, and this is complicated, and it's going to be expensive. And the thing that I just don't understand is when you think about the billions that are being spent around data centers and infrastructure, well, without content, none of this works. We know that. And yet that piece of it, that key ingredient, is just being taken for free.
So the lawsuit is one reaction to this new environment, but you are not anti-AI. And in fact, you're kind of bullish on it. First, talk about how you're thinking about AI in the newsroom and some of the moves you've made there.
Yeah, so I'm not an AI doomer. I don't want to present myself like both things can be true. You can believe in the power of the technology, and you can also believe in a fair ecosystem where, where if you provide value, you're getting some value in return. So yes. Now, in the newsroom, I will say I'm very careful because I don't think and I know, I shouldn't say I don't think, I know what we don't want to do is produce content using AI to produce content. There is enough AI slop in the world. The percentage of internet content that is now AI written is the majority of content on the internet. If real content produced by humans continue to block as we are, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, scrapers from trying to scrape, you're gonna have a very different reality where the source is, it's like AI feeding AI, and it's gonna be this like crazy, doom cycle. So what I've said and what we have done, we have unions, editorial unions. We've signed probably, I think, the most clear collective bargaining agreement there is, which is you do not use AI to write. You can use AI to research. You can use AI to brainstorm. You can use AI to process information. One of the panels talked about data rooms in M&A and how much information there is. Well, there are a lot of spaces where there's a lot of information, and so using that to sort of process, I think, is great. But I would not produce or publish AI content. And we have an experience of reputational damage. We bought CNET, which is one of our properties. Prior to our purchase, they had experimented with AI and published content written by AI, not properly disclosing that. One, I would have done it. And I certainly, if I were doing it, I would have been very transparent about it. Neither of that didn't happen. And it creates reputational harm. Right? And so, by the way, that's relevant to many industries. And so I think we have to be careful. You're seeing it in law firms. I think Accenture just had something. You're seeing firms where people are being told, hey, use AI. We need to be AI enabled. It's the future. And then they use AI and they make a mistake, and then there's all this reputational damage and everyone is spinning, right? And so we're still at that moment. So what I say within the organization outside of the newsroom is let's experiment, let's try, let's find areas of where it can be helpful. It was interesting, actually, because as you know, we're a highly acquisitive company. So we do a lot of that diligence that the other panel was talking about. Data rooms are enormous. It's always try to find the thing that they don't want you to find. That's a great example, in my opinion, within our own company of leveraging AI in a way that will help us be better at what we're doing. So look, I think that the potential, as I remind everyone, AI is the worst it's ever going to be today. It will only get better. And so again, I think I advocate for it, right? We have 4,000 employees in the company. Everyone, we've consolidated under Google's AI suite. We have protections around our own content, internal content that we feel comfortable with. That's another piece, right? Like where's your information going? Proprietary information, inside company information is going into their systems. We need to make sure that they're protected. So, look, I think we're trying to lean in and play offense, but also defend our rights.
Yeah, and also, I think eventually it is a brand differentiator. You're protecting your brands. People go to your brands for information they used to have to go because everything was created by people. But if you let AI start to take over, then your brands you lose your competitive advantage.
Well, the term that I hate right now in my industry, and it's everyone's industry, is AI visibility. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? What is AI visibility? So let me understand this. We're going to let them ingest our content. There'll be no actual attribution. 70% of queries are actually without any retrieval augmented generation. So, when it does the searching the web and it's looking for dynamic content, 70% of the time it doesn't do that. It just gives you the answer from the trained data, the static data, with no citation. So there is no visibility. So maybe your words showed up, but actually no one knows they were your words. And even when you start looking at RAG, I mean, it's buried. And so one thing, if you have publishers in the room, you're going to hear your teams like, oh my God, but we're not showing up in AI. Well, I'm not sure, even if you do, I don't know what their value of that really is. And it's famously pointed out, there is no traffic flow that comes from the chatbots, the LLM chatbots into publishers.
No, and you also find the role of brands sort of outweighs all the independent publishers.
So you have just picked, I think this is the issue. There is a source problem right now that isn't known because 70% of the time you don't know the source and 30% of the time it's buried. I encourage you to look at the sources. You're going to be shocked that the sources are largely brand.com. So for instance.
And Reddit. A lot of Reddit too.
And I can accept Reddit to some degree, right? Because I think that's human content, it's points of views. I use it, everyone uses it, right? So that's okay. It needs to be balanced. But what's happening is that when you go in there, let's say I'm researching multifunction printers. If the answer to the best multifunction printers is coming from Epson and Brother directly from their sites, I'm not sure you're getting the answer, but you don't know that. You don't see that. It's just not obvious.
I mean, it's already the top 3 links on your search result.
Yeah,
if you do use Google.
Yes.
And then this is coming in such a more insidious way.
Yeah.
Because it's literally like ChatGPT is giving you the answer that you're looking for based on their marketing materials.
It's almost like the answer is the sponsored results in search. That's what you're getting. And so, information matters. Sources matter. The tech folks always talk about garbage in, garbage out. And I think there's a fair amount of garbage going in because the thing we haven't pressed on here is so fine, we have litigation. So the courts are potentially a way for us to try to get to a resolution. And we'd like to get to a resolution. There's robots.txt, it's not working. It's being ignored. And so now we have this CDN, Content Delivery Network layer. Cloudflare is probably not a great name to say today, just with all the issues, but Cloudflare, Akamai, Fastly, the 3 major CDNs in the marketplace all have technologies that will stop AI bots from scraping you. And so we've employed those, and many have employed those. And so now you have this quality of information issue in AI. What worries me now is there's a fair amount of evidence that to get around these blocks, AI companies are presenting themselves as Chrome users, they're presenting themselves as human users to evade these blocks so they can get at your content. I mean, these are major corporations who I think behave in many ways like the law doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, well, that theme has come up a couple of times today. I think, I wanted to ask you another question about sources. We talked about, I'm an ex-PC Magger. I think in terms of products, I would have given that Epson multifunction printer example. But I think there's something else going on here, which is that a lot of people are having their entire worldview shaped by these chatbots. And they don't have sources, and it seems authoritative, and it's shaping their political opinions, it's shaping their medical choices. I mean, you've got brands that are providing vetted, sourced and fact-checked information, but this really affects more than just what printer you're going to buy.
It does, and it's, you see this we all use it, and it's like the first sentence is, "You're right."
I love that.
Right?
I never hear that.
I mean, it's true. And so, look, it does worry me about how it shapes things. But I'll tell you this. I have 4 kids, and, they're in the age where they're, using systems, and each one of them says, Dad, it doesn't work. It's interesting. And so we may have...
we're amazed by it, and they're like,
it doesn't
not good
work.
enough.
And it's because they're held to things. You know why? Because when they submit a paper with a factual error, it didn't work. And so, the standards, it feels in their world may be higher than ours. I'll say one other thing. I see the thing coming down here on us. But It's interesting. So it's widely known and established that large language models prefer language written between the 6th and 8th grade level. We are having an internet that is targeting middle schoolers. And that internet, 51% of traffic right now are bots. There are now more bots visiting web pages than humans. And you know how things go. People will start to make things just for those bots. And I just get worried about not even just the dumbing down of discourse on the greatest database of information in human history.